Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Mr. Vallejo, and welcome to my science class. And I wanted to let you know more about me. So let's go right into it. And we're going to share the screen with you. And let's get started with the slideshow for today. All righty. Again, I'm Mr. Vallejo, and I teach physics and chemistry and also biology. So um, I teach all of the sciences, even geology, and I hope you will benefit from my experiences. All right. If you are here in LAUSD, you know, the learning management system is Schoology, and to check to see how your student specifically is doing, I encourage you to set yourself up with your own access, and then you can check out all of the fun assignments as they happen. Okay, here's a link to the parent account if you have not set up a parent account yet. And I encourage you to do that. More and more parents are doing that so that they can access their students' work and help your student along and motivate them as appropriate. All right. Want to let you know more about me because here's an interesting quote. Many students learn from a teacher. In fact, I would say most of them learn from a teacher, but some students learn for a teacher. And how can you learn for a teacher? You don't know anything about me. So who is Mr. Vallejo? Well, I'm the one on the left right here. This is my beautiful wife. And do you know who this is? And if you said Elton John, this is Elton John. I was in San Francisco with my wife, and we were visiting Pier 39, and we were checking out the quaint shops, and we went to the second floor. And who did I see but Elton John? So I said, Elton, excuse me, would you mind taking a photo with us? And he didn't say anything, so I just took it. Now, he didn't say anything because he is a wax figure, but it's a pretty darn good looking wax figure, isn't it? Elton John and my wife and I have been teaching science since 1986. I started at the at Reseda High School here in the San Fernando Valley, and I taught there for 10 years. A friend of mine called me up one day and said, "Hey, I'm about to move to Arizona. You should think about coming over to my school." And I said, "Heck yeah," because he was the biology teacher at the zoo. And so I was the zoo magnet biology teacher for a couple of years. Unfortunately, I live in Simi Valley, and Simi is quite a ways away from from Griffin Park in the Los Angeles Zoo. So I lasted a couple of years before I went crazy. One time it took me 2 hours and 5 minutes to drive from my house just down the street from the Ronald Reagan Library over to the zoo magnet, which is in the parking lot of the Los Angeles Zoo. So I said, I am not driving 2 hours every day for the rest of my life. I need to go to a closer school. So I checked out a friend of mine who's the department chair at Chatsworth High School, and he said, hey, we would love to have you as a chemistry teacher. So I taught chemistry mostly and biology at Chatsworth High School. Also taught advanced placement biology, AP environmental science, marine biology, started the program there, as well as I did at the Los Angeles Zoo Magnet. So I always thought I'd retire at Chatsworth. I was quite happy there. But another friend of mine called a decade later, 13 years later, and said, hey, we're starting a brand new school. We think you'd be perfect for it. And so I said, heck yeah, an Academy of Science. And so I was the first science teacher at the Valley Academy of Arts and Sciences at Devonshire and Balboa. Stayed there from the opening till just a few years ago when I decided to come to Canoga Park. This, I hope, is my very last school, and it is my favorite school so far. And I'm enjoying being a hunter. And I tell the kids I'm a hunter for life. And on the announcements every day, they say, every day is a great day at Canoga Park High School. I'm loving that. I'm one of the 6 National Board Certified teachers here at Canoga Park High School, and that is an incredibly high number. And so your student is privileged to have so many National Board Certified teachers on staff. There are only 7,000 plus in California, about 2,000 in Los Angeles, and most schools don't even have a National Board Certified teacher. We have 6 on our staff here. So National Board Certified teachers have reached the highest level of achievement in K through 12 education. It is akin to a master's or a doctorate, but it is so important that the level of pay for a National Board Certified teacher, for example, is so much higher than a person with a PhD, because we need to be trained and have the best to work with your students. I also teach community college on Tuesday and Thursday nights. I can be found at Moore Park College, where I teach biology, and I've been teaching biology there since 1998. Before the pandemic, I taught online, and so started teaching at the University of Phoenix in 2007, but I have taught at many other places. I actually teach at Taft College presently, and I also teach at in addition to Moore Park College, I teach at another college in Ventura County, Oxnard College, and I teach at let's see, West Hills College in Fresno County, as well as College of the Canyons. I teach environmental science there, and the one I haven't mentioned yet is I also teach out of state in Louisiana. I teach at Baton Rouge Community College, where I teach 3 biology classes. So all that is possible thanks to Zoom, and I think that online teaching, online learning is definitely a positive thing, not a negative thing. And I hope that you have the same view of online learning. I think that it's a way of the future, and that even after the pandemic, I think we'll be taking a good, possibly third to half of your classes will be online. So I'm excited about that, because then I'll continue to work in the online classroom. All right, so I have a bachelor's in biology from UCLA. Woo! And you can see behind me, I have a lot of UCLA gear and things like that. I also have a master's degree in biological sciences. Sometimes my wife will introduce me to someone and say, "This is my husband. He has a master's in BS." That's funny. Oh, I didn't tell you, or did I? I'm a National Board Certified teacher. So I've been one since 2001, and I just renewed again. So that every 10 years, a National Board Certified teacher has to do a renewal. So I'll be one until 2031. And at that point, I think I will have been retired. So go Bruins. My wife and I were dated in college, and there we are. I'm the one on the right, and we are at my mother-in-law's house on the shores of this lake in Eastern Washington. She sold her house for $1 million, close to $1 million, in Huntington Beach about 15 years ago. And they bought a house on a lake for what, 350? Woo! Oh, grandma. That is some good profit right there. All right, my wife and I, we met in the band. There we are, the picture of us. My wife is right here. She's 16 from the top, wearing a blue and gold uniform with a white plume. I don't know if you can see it. I'm a little bit easier to spot. I'm over here on the right side at the very end. And so my wife and I, we met in the band. Speaking of music, I'll tell you about that in a sec. I gotta tell you, I have 7 kids. I wrote this a couple of years ago, so they're 20 and 31. Here are their names. So it's good to have a list of their names. And here they are, my whole family in a tree. So I like to call this, anyone? My family tree. So here's my family tree. And there are my kids. This is Destiny. She's a barista. Adrian works in construction. Michael and Raul are both community college students right now. Here's Grace. She's a caregiver. That's Chastity. She's an artist. And this is Joshua. He is third in charge of the largest zoo in Montana. It's called Zoo Montana. So those are my kids right there. As far as music goes, I play both congos and saxophone. I actually just played a wedding last month as the saxophonist. And my last gig on congas was actually in Cuba. And I played with a Latin jazz band. So that was a pretty exciting thing for me. I was the band director at Reseda High School for a couple of years. As you can see from the photo previously, my wife and I, we met in the band. So I was in the band in the UCLA marching band, the Solid Gold Sound for 4 years. I also coach youth soccer. And so I don't actually currently have a team. I stopped coaching about when my youngest son was about 14 or so. So it's been a little bit because I always thought, okay, I'll coach at a certain level, but then when I get to about high schoolish, there's people who are more passionate about it than I am. I was the first soccer coach at my previous school though, and we were undefeated. But the thing about a new school is you don't get any official games. So we played scrimmages. But as far as our record, our official record was 0-0. But guess what that is? That is undefeated. And so I'm the only undefeated coach in the history of my previous school. And there's my oldest son right there playing fullback. Okay. All right, so that's a little bit about me. Now I'd like to give you some information about the class and how it works.
Ooh, undefeated. All right. As far as logistics in class, there are a few things I would like you to know as we get started with this new grading period, this new quarter semester. Canoga Park is a school of mastery, learning, and grading. And what that means is that even though I keep score and even though I add up the grades, this is used as the main factor to determine grades. The grades will be on a 0 to 4 scale, and that will allow your student some flexibility with missed assignments. Back in the day, if you missed a 300-point assignment, that's 0 out of 300. But now, since the assignments are 4, some factor of 4, sometimes I have a 12-point assignment or a 40-point unit test. Still, a 0 out of 4 is not such a bad hit and probably will not change a letter grade or even a percentage significantly. So that's a good thing. All right. Also in mastery, learning, and grading, the philosophy of mastery, learning, and grading allows students to have an opportunity to revise their work and to do it over and do it better. And the final grade will be determined on the consistency and improvement of mastering the learning targets. So that's what we're looking for here at Canoga Park High School. Again, the score of 0 will not be put in the gradebook initially. It'll just be a blank space. However, the student is responsible for that work and will need to complete it before the end of the grading period. If you, at the end of the grading period, still have the missing assignment, and at that point, you'll get a missing symbol along with the 0 for a score. Again, with mastery learning, it is not just grade totals. Grade numbers are not the only thing that are important when it comes to determining the student's grade, but also a professional assessment by his or her teacher will be used, and looking at trends and whether the student has improved over time. Those are all issues and components of the laboratory. So know that the Schoology grade is not the only thing used to determine the letter grade, but it is, my guess is 80, 90% correct, but there may be some other factors which may change a student's grade, usually for better, but occasionally for worse. Alrighty. And all of the work is already posted on the learning management system. So I would encourage you to look at that frequently to see how your student is doing. If you have a family function coming up and you know your student isn't going to have time to work on something, you can have them even get ahead, and that'll relieve some of the stress in his or her life. All right. I don't work on the weekends myself, and I would encourage you to give your student that freedom and to work hard during the week and take the weekend off. Here's a list of my expectations in class for your student. And as you can see, these are basically common sense items. Check your attitudes, stay in your proper place, put away inappropriate materials, treat people with kindness. Here are procedures, be ready to work, bring your Chromebook, and submit your assignments on time. You make a mess, clean it up. Alrighty. I hope your son or daughter has a great time in my class, but if you have any questions or comments and need to contact me, the best way to do it is through email directly. You can also go through Schoology, but there are some filters so that sometimes the messages don't get to me as quickly as you would like. So I would encourage you to use the email. Okay, so that is my class, and thanks for coming today. If you have any questions, again, email me, please, and hope your son or daughter has a marvelous time with a great experience in my science class. All righty. All right. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you later. Bye now.